Will this be the most dramatic ending of The Bachelorettes ever? We are here to break it all down for you guys today, so welcome back to our channel. Before we get into The Bachelor tea, give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new here, subscribe. I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Morgan Wright. Morgan, this season has been so drawn out, so dramatic. It's finally coming to an end. What are your overall thoughts coming into this finale?
I mean, it feels like everything really hit the fan within the past 2 weeks. So I feel like there have been so many twists and turns. And do I think it will be the most dramatic ending ever? No, Colton jumped a fence. But I do think that this is going to be talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks, not only with what's going to go down with Rachel and Tino, which we know has been, teased, but also this new developing story between Eric and Gabby. My head is spinning.
It's just like a lot and one thing after the other. And it's just like, we wanted one happy couple. Like we originally wanted two, but after seeing the trailer and kind of assuming how things play out, I mean, Rachel looked miserable on After the Final Rose, watching all that play back. Like, we're at least hoping Gabby and Eric can last. And now after all of this, we're really not too sure. So we're going to break it down and talk about each couple and the scenarios and how we think it's going to play out. There may be some spoiler warnings in here, so consider yourself alerted. And we're going to start off with talking about Tino and Rachel. Now, Tino is Rachel's last guy left, but he does have some family issues with Rachel, and his dad is not too fond of the process. He's been writing things on Facebook recently, last week, almost every single week, but somehow Tino was able to win Big Tony over. So how do we think that this is going to play out between the two of them? Because it just doesn't look good based on the trailer of them arguing. And I mean, clearly there was like this huge fight that happened after the show.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that Tino's dad is going to show up at After the Final Rose, even though he's been dogging the franchise on his Facebook page. But let's be honest, whenever there really has been the most dramatic finale ever, the ones that come to my mind are Barb with Pilot Peter. And then there was another one where
Becca.
a family member didn't approve. It's escaping me now, but of course. But I just remember those really being the most dramatic moments when stuff happens afterwards. So if they're going for the most dramatic ever, I think a confrontation between Tino's dad and Big Tony would definitely be dramatic.
That's what we want on After the Final Rose. I don't know if he's going to go, though, because he seems like he really hates the franchise. And he said in his Facebook post last week that he can't wait for it to be over. He even kind of called out Sam Rubin, who is a news reporter at KTLA. I don't know what he has to do with the equation. I don't even know if Tino wants to show up to After the Final Rose. I mean, the two of them clearly broke up. I mean, we really won't. It's hard to even believe it until you see it on the screen. Like, obviously, we're all hearing things and we're all reading things online, but it's pretty much our understanding that Tino and Rachel got engaged on the show and broke up, and they fought in one of the safe houses, which is one of the places that, the happy couples are supposed to go after the show so that they can be in private. And that's where this scene is allegedly being filmed. And Tino has this notebook. So what do you think went wrong with Tino and Rachel? Why do you think that they, decided to go their separate ways?
It's giving Jed Wyatt, is it not? I mean, like where Becca and Ari, where everything is roses and they sail away into the sunset, happy and engaged, and then something bad happens in the middle, or even Hannah Ann and Pilot Peter. I mean, obviously something went down. I don't know if it was a cheating situation, but it was enough. It was something that Rachel felt like she was lied to, right? Because we've seen her say, look in my eyes and lie to me again. So what is that lie? Is it a situation with another woman? Is it a situation with him and his family? We don't really know what the lie is, but I think it all boils down to that.
And allegedly, Rachel is the one that actually decides to give the ring back to Tino after they get home from Mexico, which really doesn't make sense because she literally broke up with Avon because he was not ready to get engaged to her, even though he wanted to be with her. He was
Mhm.
not ready. And I would throw out the idea like maybe Rachel will get back with Avon or Zach, but now it seems like Zach's going to be the Bachelor. And even after watching After the Final Rose, it really seems like Rachel and Avon kind of said their goodbyes. So it kind of seems like Rachel's going to be single at the end of this, which is really sad because she put her heart and soul into this. She's such an emotional person. She was so hurt by Clayton. She wanted a second chance. But a lot of people online think that she did this to herself. She was her own worst enemy. She put too much pressure on being the perfect bachelorette. So where do you kind of stand on that? Is this just what was in the cards for Rachel? Could she have done anything different? And what do you think is next for her?
I honestly think that she started off on a little bit of an unfair foot already with the guys rejecting her. I feel like that probably really shook her confidence early on. And we're kind of seeing the aftermath of that when she's getting into this home stretch, where it's like you go into it with the expectation that you're going to get engaged, that you're, going to sail off into the sunset, that you're going to do people exclusives and interview. I mean, you have all these high expectations for yourself. And when you start off getting rejected by, five guys at one time, I think she kind of just got really into her head and she's like, okay, the only way that I can salvage this is if I really do commit and get engaged at the end of it. I do think that she has put a lot of pressure on herself to be the perfect bachelorette. We've seen it a lot. We've seen her say it a lot in the way
Hmm.
that she acts. I feel like, when she's smiling ear to ear while crying, while saying goodbye to Avon, it's like, girl, you don't have to put on this brave face. And I think that's why viewers have gravitated more towards Gabby. I feel like she's just been a lot, it sounds bad. And I don't mean this as a dig against Rachel, but Gabby has been a little bit more genuine in her emotions. Like, even when she's saying that conversation that she had with her aunt, right? Where she's like, I'm a messed up person. I have all this baggage. And,
Hmm.
and her aunt is like, you need to show Eric every side of you. It's just two very different personalities. So, do I think it's entirely Rachel's fault? I really don't. Is there anything she could have done differently? I don't know. I don't know. Just because of how things started.
I mean, I just think she wasn't ready to be the Bachelorette to begin with. I think that that whole experience from Clayton really traumatized her, and she kind of even brought it up in this experience at Fantasy Suites. And I think it was just all too rushed. She's very young. She wore her heart on her sleeve. I think she gave it her all, and she did her best, and she did what she felt was right. And I still see bright things for her in her future. I think she's going to be okay, but I really do think she just needs to decompress and digest this experience. And I hope that it was
Mhm.
worth it for her in some way because it doesn't seem like she's getting a man or a ring out of this. So I hope that she at least made some money and that she will have money to come because she really got put through the ringer this entire season. And I kind of think she's going to get a lot of backlash next week, too, if things don't work out with Tino as well. And I mean, I'm just excited to hear what Tino has to say. Like, what do you think he's going to say after the final rose? Because we have not heard from him all season long. I don't think he's done one interview.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you say that because I haven't really been paying attention to, how active he is on social media, but now that you say that, it's
Not a
true. It's
lot.
been Yeah, it's been pretty much crickets. So, yeah, Tina was all in on Rachel from the beginning. So I feel like for something to go so wrong, um, where they end their engagement and potentially break up, I mean, it must have been something really, really bad. I just don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to gauge the situation because I believe that Tina was so all in. So it's like, what could have happened to cause this huge blowout fight where they're potentially not together?
I just think Tino is going to want to speak his piece on things. I think that is why he needs to go to After the Final Rose and kind of clear his name. He's not gotten a good edit. I mean, what we're getting from Tino is very car salesman, very just like a little icky. And it's kind of sucks because I
Yeah.
really liked him in the beginning. And we don't really know him because this show is so edited and they put creepy music behind him pretty often. So I'm just excited to kind of see where he's at. I have heard from multiple people that he is exhausted, that this has been put a toll on him and it's just been a lot for him to handle because he keeps getting dragged and he's not allowed to talk about it. So I just think there will be great closure for Rachel, Tino, and both of their families and the audience on Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Let's get into Rachel, I mean, Gabby and Eric. What are your thoughts on them? Do you think that they are going to get engaged?
Yeah, well, I do think that they get engaged on the show. And I really came around to Eric, which is why everything that's happened in the past 2 weeks has been just so disappointing because in the beginning, I did kind of have just a gut reaction of, I don't know about this guy. Their first one-on-one date, when Grandpa John was there, I was like, I don't know how I feel about Eric. Gabby seems really into it, but I was just indifferent. I came around during
Mm-hmm.
his hometown. I came around when he met Gabby's family, and I was full on shipping. I was like, yes, Gabby and Eric, all the way.
Yeah.
They're going to get engaged. I think, he's going to kind of cave to the pressure of the circumstance. Where, yes, in the past episode, he's like, I don't know. I think when he has
Yeah.
producers in his ear and he sees how upset Gabby is, I think that he will end up proposing. But who knows how it's going to end now with everything that's come out in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we kind of have to get into that because this is a train wreck. I mean, they extended the last episode 15 minutes just to kind of set up this Gabby and Eric storyline, which is really exhausting us because it's just like get engaged or do not get engaged. Eric has been the only guy left for like 2 weeks now, almost 3, especially because Johnny and Jason were just so irrelevant to the situation. So if they do get engaged, like Morgan thinks, a lot of people thinks, are they still together now? From my understanding, they have been together, but now there's been this whirlwind on social media where not only was a resurfaced picture of Eric doing blackface in high school put out there, but also an ex-girlfriend has come forward, Amanda, who has screenshots of her text messages with Eric before he left for the show, where he basically broke up with her to go on the show and told her that the show isn't real. So he wanted her to stay with her and wait around. She also has a kid, Amanda, so that's even harder to put her through as a single mom. And then on top of that, there is a text, and all these text messages are on Bachelor Nation Scoop's Instagram. These just dropped earlier this week. And basically, he was very apologetic in July when he supposedly came back from filming The Bachelorette, which really just means he's the winner. So, what is your thoughts on all of this? What is your thoughts on the text scandal first?
Yeah, I think okay, because look, we've seen it before where contestants are, dating someone before and they break up, right before they go on the show. And I really like what Caitlin Bristow had to say about this, where she's like, yeah, I did it because I knew that the person I was with at the time was not going to be my forever person. We were casually dating. You have those relationships in life where you're not that serious. And it's like, are you going to throw away a chance at going on television and finding love and potentially building a career for yourself for some person that you're not that serious about? And who cares? Like we've all had those
Mm-hmm.
types of relationships in the past. I think where Eric really dug his grave in this sense is when he texted Amanda after the show was already done filming, after he had potentially proposed and been engaged to Gabby. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
text message said something along the lines of, I think about you all the time. Like, what? You, as an engaged man, should not be sending another woman a text saying, I think about you all the time. That is a major red flag.
Well, Morgan, I don't know if this is true, but I have seen a few people kind of say maybe it's a photoshopped text message. Maybe this girl Amanda is trying to like get her justice and make Eric look bad. I mean, there is two sides to the story, and didn't something similar
Mhm.
happen with Nate a few weeks ago, where he had an ex girl, kind of come forward, and then we heard his side on the Men Tell All. And I mean, I kind of feel like Nate was a little shady in that situation, but hearing his side, did bring more clarity. So, do you think Eric will clear this up after the final rose, or do you think that they could glaze over it?
I think he has to clear it up. I think it would be such a disservice to the viewers if they didn't. Because I mean, we talk about it all the time. The franchise seems so out of touch with what their audience is
Hmm.
doing on social media, what they're talking about, what they're potentially uncovering, like Bachelor Nation Scoop did this week, is what everybody's talking about. And I do think that they will address it because they addressed the Nate situation on the Men Tell All. I
Hmm.
think it will really boil down to what Eric says. What Eric and Gabby have been doing the past week. We don't know. Hopefully, we'll get some insight to that on after the final rose, but I have no idea. It's giving
We'll
Jed
see.
Wyatt, and I don't like it.
Well, if it's giving Jed Wyatt, Morgan, that means that this girl, Amanda, is going to end up dating and marrying Gabby's brother,
Uh,
which I don't even know if she has. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. But I think like the biggest shade of it all is that like if he left this girl and ghosted her to kind of go on this show or whatever the situation was, how is he going to be able to develop authentic feelings for Gabby if he's still thinking about someone else? And I also think this probably plays into the fact that he was so hesitant to get engaged to Gabby. We haven't seen it played out yet, but we saw the
Mhm.
last episode because he knows that there is the girl back at home that he probably has to have a conversation with when he gets back. Maybe he didn't expect to go so far in the process when he joined the show. Maybe he didn't expect to fall for Gabby. My biggest takeaway is that Gabby deserves better. Like both of these girls, well, we're talking about Gabby. Gabby deserves better right now. She's going on Dancing with the Stars. She has a bright future ahead of her. Her career is popping off. A lot of people have compared her to the new Tayshia. Like she is the it girl right now in Bachelor Nation. And she's on the come up. And she also did delete a couple pictures off her Instagram of Eric recently, like yesterday. So it's
Oh
very
no.
possible that Gabby could have had enough of Eric because it is one thing after the other with him, and it's very possible that she might feel it's in her best interest to just move on, especially if there's another girl in the mix and Eric possibly played her. However, if Gabby and Eric are solid and they've been solid for the past few months, nothing this girl Amanda could say is going to matter because maybe Eric and Gabby had a conversation in private about it.
I will say that Gabby does not take any crap. You know, like the way we saw her handle the Clayton situation, the way we've seen her handle situations with guys causing drama on the season, we know that when she's had enough, she has had enough. And I feel like there's nothing you can do to convince her otherwise once her mind is made up. So I could see Gabby leaving Eric over this. If it is what we think it is, and this side of the story is the real side of the story, and Eric doesn't really bring anything new and he just apologizes, I feel like she'd be like, absolutely not. I am so much better than this. And I'm gonna go enjoy my
Mhm.
time on Dancing with the Stars. She just doesn't take any
Yeah.
any BS from these dudes. So I wouldn't be surprised if she said goodbye
I
to
want to
him
know what
over it.
Grandpa John has to think about it as well, because he was a big supporter of
Oh,
Eric, and it seemed like the family liked Eric. I mean, I love Rachel and Gabby's family, so I hope that they have the whole crew there, and they should
hmm.
just have all of them on stage at once for like a big reunion, right? Like imagine it's like the Men Tell All. You put like Gabby's dad, or I mean, yeah, Grandpa John, like Big Tony, like everybody in there. But the biggest question, Morgan, is this: if they're both single, both of these engagements ended in a disaster, was this a waste of a season or was this the best TV we've ever seen?
I think it was a waste. I
Me
don't
too.
like the duel. I don't like the dual bachelorettes. It should have never been done. It put them at a disadvantage right from the get-go. They didn't have as many guys as they should have. They, canceled cocktail parties because the emotions of
Hmm.
it were just too much. I just
There
if they
wasn't
were
enough
going to do
time.
yeah, if they were gonna try this out, they should have tried it out. And I know you and I have had this conversation before with two bachelors like
Mm.
Andrew and Greg, who are goofy and funny and they don't really take anything seriously. Not somebody like Gabby and Rachel, who really did want to get engaged in this process.
Well, that was a disaster of a season, but I think it's going to be pretty highly rated. I think a lot of people are talking about it. It's really dragging out, which I think is honestly leaving more room for scandals because as this keeps playing out, a new scandal arises.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't even be surprised if something new came out before Tuesday's episode. But a lot of us are just excited to put a close in this. What is your ultimate hope and goal for the ending of this season?
My ultimate hope and goal would be that Gabby and Rachel know their worth. That their worth isn't placed in viewers' opinions of them. Their worth isn't placed on guys that don't treat them fairly, families that might have preconceived notions. At the end of the day, their worth comes from inside. And I do think that they're both really great women. And I just hope that this hasn't taken too much of a toll on their mental health.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there is like a positive outcome, even if they both end up single. It's possible that Gabby breaks up with Eric like on after the final rose. I hope that Tino and Rachel get some closure. I hope Rachel and Gabby are able to kind of speak their piece on things. And I hope that it's just like kind of comes full circle in some way. It's going to be 3 hours next week. So we're all in for it, but we're going to do this together. And we're also going to get a Bachelor announcement. And there has been lots of rumors. Variety has confirmed that they're under the impression it's going to be Zach. Reality Steve posted a video of Zach just filming an intro package somewhere. So we're all kind of expecting Zach to be the Bachelor. Morgan, how do you feel about that?
I feel like in the home stretch here, he's definitely the one that has come out as, the crowd favorite, the fan favorite. It just feels like the leads have kind of lost their appeal. Zach wasn't this hugely popular figure the whole entire season. Just referencing Game of Roses, they're like, pay Tyler Cameron. Like, yes.
Mhm.
It's just nobody lives up to that expectation anymore of, oh, we loved this guy the entire season. We really want him to find love. Not that there's anything wrong with Zach. And after he said goodbye to Rachel, I was like, oh yeah, he probably will be the next Bachelor. But I think it's just starting to lose its appeal to people, and maybe even to leads, because they know that they get dragged through the mud anytime that
Mhm.
they are the lead of the franchise.
I mean, it also just seems exhausting doing all the podcasts and interviews and people dissecting
Yeah.
everything you say. And I
Hmm.
honestly think this is the beginning of the end for Bachelor Nation. With Zach as the lead, Jesse is just not, he's just giving boring for the host. He doesn't add any fun or spice. So I honestly think, as someone who is the biggest Bachelor fan in the entire world, that this truly is the beginning of the end. And I just don't have high hopes for The Bachelor after. I'm excited for Paradise, but after that, I really just don't think that it's going to be the same. Next come around January, I think a lot of viewers are going to be gone, and I think people are over it. There's just so many other shows that are just so much more interesting and keeping up with the times and are being more fun and diverse. And The Bachelor just isn't listening to their audience. And I just don't think that Zach is super interesting. We don't want a boring lead, and we don't know Zach, and we can get to know him. And I'm sure I'll change my mind in January, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just feel like The Bachelor is just doing a lot right now, and we're obsessed, but we're also exhausted. And are you excited for Paradise? That is next week, the week after.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Paradise. It's what we need at this point. We need to see the drama on the beach. We need to see these love stories. I'm excited. I like the cast. So instead of just being down in the dumps about how horrible this season has been, we will look forward to Bachelor in Paradise.
It's almost paradise. That's my way of giving you guys a tune. Well, a happy weekend, everyone. We are just a few days away from the finale, so we definitely want to hear your predictions and your thoughts. Any points that we missed, be sure to let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell before you head out of here to keep up with all things Bachelor Nation and reality TV. I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Morgan Wright. Our socials are on the screen right now, so give us a follow, come say hello. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.